The good news is that this gives the central bank even more reason to keep cutting interest rates. Then we've got a good shot at seeing more cuts in July. And if that happens, we might be in for some dramatic changes come September. Canada's unemployment rate went up from 6.1% last month to 6.2% this month. Just a tiny increase of 0.1%. The bad news is pretty obvious. More people are unemployed, and for each person who's lost their job, it's 100% bad news. No doubt about that. But hey, at least Canada's unemployment benefits are relatively good, so most people won't fall into immediate hardship. Tough times will pass. Don't give up. Now, the good news is that this gives the central bank even more reason to keep cutting interest rates. This means a little bit of relief for those burdened by various loans, mortgages, car loans, student loans, you name it. In other words, to curb the rising unemployment rate and to stimulate the economy so more people can find jobs. The central bank has another good reason to keep those interest rate cuts coming. Of course, when the central bank decides whether to keep cutting interest rates, they are definitely gonna consider more factors. But unemployment rate is absolutely a solid indicator and plays a super important role. If the latest inflation rate keeps going down, the chances of continuing to cut interest rates get way higher. But hey, just how big of a deal is the unemployment rate anyway? Let's take a look at a 6.2% unemployment rate on a 10-year chart. Well, it's not the lowest. It's definitely not that high either. If we ignore the special situation since the pandemic and look at the pre-pandemic era, it's just a medium level. It's not panic time yet. Now, if we stretch out history a bit and look from the 70s till now, a 6.2% unemployment rate is kinda on the low side. Honestly, you could barely call it below average. So, from the central bank's perspective, the current rise to 6.2% probably doesn't weigh too heavily in their decision to cut interest rates or not. The real deal here is the next inflation rate report. If the June interest rate cut didn't cause inflation to skyrocket, and it either stays the same or even drops a little bit, then we've got a good shot at seeing more cuts in July. And if that happens, we might be in for some dramatic changes come September. Stay tuned.